Welcome back to Fickle Sports, and as a quick explanation for those of you who watch our Wolves and Tottenham video, we recorded this at the end. We had to wait for the Tottenham game to finish, which for me was an absolute nightmare as they conceded in the 86th minute to Wolves. So congratulations Wolves fans and all the Tottenham fans watching this. If I seem upset, it's because I've recorded it just as the final whistle blew. Before we get into our scores from last week and our subscriber scores from last week, we just want to, as always, just say a massive thank you, a massive shout out to every single one of you guys, all you new subscribers, all you old subscribers, everyone who likes, comments on all our videos. We appreciate every single one of you. So thank you.
On to the scores for last week between Alex and I, and it was a ball draw. We both got 4 points. That Tottenham result really screwed me over. It was a 3-point swing. I had Tottenham to win 1-0, and that really did me over. So I'm down 4 points. It is 28-24 so far this month, and I need some help. I probably need one of you guys. I need to contract you guys. Now for our subscriber scores, the table is on the screen as we speak, and Anthony has won this week with 6 points. So well done, Anthony. First game's up, and that's Crystal Palace versus Leicester City. Now Crystal Palace, that's quite a disappointing result once again. I think, you concede 10 goals and you don't score any. It's quite grim. Roy Hodgson said it right. The stock and trade of Crystal Palace for the beginning of the season is that they don't concede a lot of goals. So 10 goals in 2 games, that's pretty rough. And they couldn't keep out Aston Villa at all. Spilling it out for Traore just to tap it in. They really couldn't handle it. And you would think, you're really hoping that Zaha converted that one-on-one against Martinez. He was under pressure from Mings, but it's a man of that quality, you really expect him to finish that. But it was a good save in the end. And yeah, you were hoping that Crystal Palace took advantage of the fact that Aston Villa went down to 10 men. Mings got sent off, but it kind of galvanized Aston Villa because they could go 100% into a counter-attacking tactic, and Crystal Palace just couldn't keep them out of their box, which is disappointing.
I think Hodgson will probably be more upset with the Aston Villa result than Liverpool one.
Yeah, because you're not expected to. Well, 7-0 is still pretty bad, but you're not expected to beat Liverpool. But yeah, I agree with that.
For Leicester City, I don't know what it is with them, but if you really want to get a result against Leicester City, it's to play them at home. And if you want to lose to Leicester City, it really is to play them away. They are complete different sides, depending on whether they're playing home or away. I don't think they were the better team against Manchester United, although you could say they were slightly fortunate with the goals they conceded. The first one, it was fortunate the way it fell to Rashford. I don't think Fernandes meant that touch, as good as he is. And then the second goal they conceded, it was a bit of brilliance by Manchester United. But I think Leicester City, even though they weren't the better team, then kept themselves in it. It was a great goal by Barnes. It was a great move for the second goal. So I don't think it's all doom and gloom for them, but they really need to fix this home form if they really want to put a challenge in, not just for top 4, but maybe even the league.
Okay, considering that, who are you going with?
Well, I can't ignore Leicester's away form, so I'm going 2-0. You know what? No, 3-0 Leicester.
Oh, okay. I'm going 2-0 Leicester with this one.
Next up on Monday at 5:30, it is Chelsea versus Aston Villa. Now, Chelsea fans, I'm going to extend to you the same credit that I did to the Crystal Palace fans last week, and I'm going to try and keep this as brief as possible. Gary, wipe that grin off your face.
I can't. It's stuck on.
Get that grin off your face. It wasn't a good game for Chelsea at all. It just. There's things you could say, like the Tierney decision. It's very touch and go whether or not it was a dive. There was a slight touch, but at the same time, most players would go down if they feel anything in the box. The Xhaka goal was brilliant. It really was a tough game for Chelsea, and I think as good as Arsenal were, and I do think Arsenal were good, I think Chelsea. They created their own problems, and the vibe I got was a lot of it kind of extended from Lampard. He seems to have been messing around, well, not messing around, but kind of experimenting quite a lot with his team. And the recent changes he's made really haven't gone in favour of them. And I feel like a lot of the Chelsea players really weren't sure what they were doing against this Arsenal team. And I feel like the big difference between them, that Arsenal were a little bit more motivated and there was a lot more knowing what they were doing in that Arsenal team than what Chelsea had. So I think maybe a little bit back to the drawing board for Chelsea, because they had the players there.
Well, I think Frank Lampard said it quite rightly in his post-match interview. Just a lot of football is basic. You need the basic desire, urgency, and they just didn't have that against Arsenal. And no matter what tactic you have, you're going to lose.
I think he come out and he actually just said they were lazy.
For Aston Villa, that was a really good win. Really good win. Carl, I know you're watching. You must be absolutely beaming at that result. And yeah, it's Mings and Zaha were getting at it all game long, and I felt like I was worried for Mings that he was going to take down Zaha in that one-on-one, but it was a great save by Martinez once again. That man is player of the season, one of the player of the seasons for Aston Villa, definitely. And that man Traore, where has he come from? I swear he's just come out. I complimented him the last week, and yeah, that man is just so nonchalant. He has that Iron Robin ability where he's going to cut in onto his left, but you just cannot stop it. And also you felt the worst maybe when Mings got sent off for that second
I certainly
yellow.
did. When that happened, I thought that was it, because I had a feeling that Villa might get a bit unlucky. I had a gut feeling about it. Me and Carl were talking about it, and I thought that was the moment there that was going to absolutely ruin it for Villa. But what a second half! Yeah,
well, it was kind of harsh. I mean, like, Zaha did beat him, and he did put arm across Zaha, so it kind of was it looked bad. It looked way worse than it was, but that's a second yellow. But yeah, I think if you are going to go down to 10 men, the formula is there to be 1-0 up already, and you've got a team that loves to counter-attack, and that's exactly what the Aston Villa did. And that strike by El Ghazi, it's almost if he didn't even look at where the goal was, just smacked it, curled it into the top left, and great win once again.
What's your prediction for this one?
Ooh, you know what? It's tough. Well, Mings being out is a bit of a factor, so if I doubt Aston Villa, they'll win. So, Carl, you can thank me. So, I'm going 2-1 Chelsea.
Mings being out is big. But you know what? I'm going to go for it. I'm going to be bold. I'm going for a 1-0 Aston Villa.
Next up is Everton versus Man City. Now, Everton, that was a great win. Mainly, it was a great win because they were a bit maybe under pressure, because that takes them up to second place, and that Everton haven't been up there for a very, very, very long time, and it was a potential banana skin I felt against Sheffield United, who is scrapping, really as sad as they are playing right now, they are scrapping for their lives. They're really trying to eke out any result, and Everton were well worth their win at the end of the day, because they were peppering shots at Sheffield United, kept the pressure on for the majority of the game, and that man Gylfi Sigurdsson, he's having a tiny bit of a resurgence. I know Everton fans were quite critical of Sigurdsson last year because, well, mainly his lack of end product and the fact that he doesn't like running around, but 1 goal, 1 assist in the last 2 games. With James Rodriguez out, he is stepping up to the plate somewhat.
For Manchester City, I think that was a performance that Pep will be really, really happy with. I think 2-0 probably undersold it a little bit. They had 2 glorious chances for both De Bruyne and Aguero, who, let's be honest, they're the 2 players you'd want it to fall to in those positions, and they both missed. There's also a potential penalty shout, so it could have been 3-4, 5-0. It really was a very good performance by City, and I think a return to what we expect from them. To take a team like Newcastle, where they're only going to threaten them every now and again, but City did really well to nullify Newcastle and to make sure they didn't have any really clear-cut shots, and they were able to create time and time again really good chances for themselves. So I think a really complete performance by Manchester City, and the type of game I think we expect from them.
Yeah, with 76% possession, that was pretty darn dominant. It's back to what Man City, they do always have that possession, but it was the constant threat against Newcastle's goal that was the main difference that we see Man City now than a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I was going to say, the thing is, higher possession is nothing new with City. It was the chances they created with it. It was just a constant threat at Newcastle's goal.
A score prediction. Two informed teams.
You can go first. I'm not sure. You go first.
I'm going 2-1 Man City. It's going to be tight, but I'm going with Man City.
I think this is going to be a bit of a shock one. I'm going 3-0 City. So we move over into Tuesday, and the first game on Tuesday is Brighton versus Arsenal, and it is taking place at 6 p.m. Now, Brighton, I don't know how many times I have to say this. I'm not sure what they have to do, what tweaks they have to make to try and stop this ongoing scenario where they play really well in games, they make a few sloppy mistakes defensively, and they don't score enough goals from the chances they create. And it is something that could be copied and pasted over the last few weeks. Against West Ham, they were the better team. They created plenty of chances to go further ahead. They did not take them. And it was just a few defensive lapses in which they conceded the goals to West Ham. They should have won that game, and they should have taken the 3 points home. And
yeah, but that Souček header was terrible defending. Terrible defending.
It was. I think it was Dunk in the end. It looked like he tried to get a glance on it. Maybe he just didn't get the height he thought he was going to be able to get from the header. He should have. I think he should have cleared that away. But even then, Souček shouldn't be. He shouldn't be able to get a free header. 6 yards out?
Yeah. Well, it kind of just hit his face. That's the thing.
It was a facer.
Yeah.
But Brighton, they do whatever tweaks they need to make. They need to start making these, because the thing is, they're doing the majority of what they need to do to win games. It's just the finer details in which they need to improve to start getting 3 points from these games and to start winning them. And if they don't start doing it soon, they're going to find themselves in real trouble when they really shouldn't be. Wait, before we do the Arsenal's bit, Gary, I know you've been waiting for this for a long time. So I'm going to give you my full attention. Here we go. Gary, enjoy this. You do it.
Yeah, it's been quite a few weeks since I've been able to wake up to an Arsenal win as well. Yeah, months. We saw a Christmas miracle. We really saw a Christmas miracle. I can't believe it. When you see Xhaka curl one to the top right hand corner from a free kick, Santa has been delivering. I get the dreadful feeling that Arsenal have kind of used up their whole year's worth of good luck in one game somehow. Even though they thoroughly deserved it, I think Arsenal should have scored 4 or 5, and Chelsea didn't really have a shot on target until their goal in the 80th minute, and there was still time to Arsenal it all up, because we conceded a penalty which could have made it 3-2, which could have made it some serious squeaky bum time there. But yeah, Arsenal were rejuvenated. That front line got totally switched up. You had Emil Smith-Rowe, Bukayo Saka, Martinelli, and Lacazette. They all pressed in unison, and they run themselves to the ground, and they were probably fully deploying Arteta's tactics, and we really made it difficult for Chelsea to go up through the pitch, through the middle, and came up trumps for the first time. I can't wipe the smile off my face, probably until Arsenal lose next.
Yeah, unfortunately for you, there's only about 18 hours between games.
I'm still partying. I've still got the vodka out, so I don't know.
What's your prediction for this one?
I so want Arsenal to win this one after. Yeah, I really despise Neil Maupay after what he did last year. So I'm going for a 2-1 win.
This game could go anyway. It really could. I have no idea what Arsenal's going to turn up. I have no idea what Brighton's going to turn up.
That's true.
But I feel like there's that bubbling little rivalry, isn't there, after the incident last season? So I'm going 2-1 Brighton. I feel like Arsenal might get another player sent off.
Next up is Burnley versus Sheffield United, and I would be pretty annoyed if I was a Burnley fan. I would be pretty annoyed because I felt with that tackle on Bamford, I didn't think it was a penalty. Am I going crazy? I thought Nick Pope got the ball first, but he did kind of wipe him out at the same time. So I don't know. Maybe I'm on the fence. So, but
I think for me personally, it's not necessarily whether or not it is or isn't a foul. It's the inconsistency. because some games you see him give them, and some games you see him they're not given. So if you're a fan and you're sitting there watching that, you can think of 3 examples of where that's happened and it hasn't been given. You're like, well, why not my club?
Yeah. I know.
So it's the inconsistency for me that frustrates me more than anything.
Yeah, and then on top of that, you have Melia, the Leeds goalkeeper, who absolutely smashed into the back of Ben Mee, and that was a great turn and shoot by Ashley Barnes. That was really something, and that would have been 2 goals back to back after not scoring in a year, which was cruelly wiped off. So I'd be.
Rumor has it, referees they have videos of Mike Breed doing roundhouses, and anything below that, keepers are allowed to do.
Yeah, and even if the keeper comes flying out the box, basically on the edge of his box, doing that, which is kind of weird. You don't really want the keeper out there. But yeah, Sean Dyche's men will have to go empty-handed here when they've been on a good run in the last 4 or 5 games. So they'll be frustrated at not picking up points here.
Do you know what, Gary? I mean, certainly not with regards to the incidents, but I think that feeling that maybe they deserved slightly more than 0 points will be exactly what Sheffield United will be feeling as well. The problem Sheffield United have is that if they had that similar sort of game last season, they would have won that 1-0, or it would have at least been a draw. But it's just one of them where kind of nothing's going for them, and they're just having those lapses in concentration. They did quite well throughout the majority of the game to kind of keep Everton down to not many chances. I felt like 0-0 was probably a fair result when it comes to 80 minutes. But in that moment when Everton scored, they got caught ball watching. Sigurdsson was allowed to drift into the box, so he was absolutely unmanned. He was able to get a shot off when he really should not have been able to. And I feel like if that was Sheffield United of yesteryear, that goal wouldn't have happened. But it's just these little moments which happen against you when you're in the position which Sheffield United currently are.
This is a massive game for Sheffield United, right? 2 points. They need this. A scalp against, currently relegation rivals. So, who are you going?
You know what? This is a tough one. It could go either way. And my gut's telling me Sheffield United, so I'm going 1-0 Sheffield United. I'm
going 2-0 Burnley. They picked it up. They played well, but I think they're going to win.
I tell you what, Gary, it wouldn't surprise me at all. So next game up is Southampton versus West Ham. It is taking place at 6 o'clock. Now, Southampton, I'll be honest with you, I don't think that was a particularly great performance by Southampton. I don't think they created enough chances to trouble Fulham. Now, they didn't go without chances. There was that brilliant Ward-Prowse free kick where Shea Adams, I think he was desperately unlucky.
I felt like he brain farted pretty heavy there. I don't know.
Whoa. No, the ball span away from him. Like, how's he supposed to predict that?
I'm just saying, if I owned him on fantasy football, I'd be triple as mad, but I don't, so it doesn't affect me as much.
I do own him on fantasy football, and I have his back. I think it was desperately unfortunate. There was a lot of spin on it, and he just wasn't able to rearrange his body in a way in which he was able to get a clean strike. But no, I think Southampton had themselves to blame for not getting the 3 points. I don't think they created enough chances. And there was a few half shouts, for goals. One was a potential handball. And then, whether or not is toenail or whether it is, I think it was offside. So the Walcott goal was rightfully ruled offside. But I think Southampton will look back at this one and I'll be a bit disappointed with themselves. They'll be hoping for a better performance against West Ham.
West Ham United, that was a dreadful first half. Really, really dreadful. Lacked creativity, lacked urgency, was a super, super conservative lineup from David Moyes. Only starting 2 attackers. You kind of think, like, what would you expect? And in the end, he put his hand up at halftime. You realise he made the wrong lineup decision, and he brought in Lanzini and Yarmolenko, and those two provided the spark that West Ham desperately needed in that second half. West Ham, I feel, are struggling defensively and really can't keep other teams out. But at least having those 2 players come on, it gave them hope going forward. And at the end of the day, I think West Ham will be happy with the point, considering at the beginning they probably expected to win, but considering how the game went, they'll be happy with the point. You know, Souček, that equaliser, he kind of did not know anything about it, kind of hit him in the face and it went in, and like, it doesn't matter, that you'll take him anyhow they come, you know. So yeah, West Ham got away with it a bit, I felt.
Yeah, I think they were the second team in that, but as you say, I think they'll be more than happy to take a point from it. What's your prediction for this one?
It's tough. I do think West Ham will win this one, actually. 2-1. Let's go for it.
I'm going. It's going to be. I feel like there's going to be a lot of goals in this one. I'm going 3-2.
To
Southampton.
Okay.
Sorry, 3-2 Southampton. It's been a long few days.
Next up is West Brom versus Leeds, and West Brom. Sam Allardyce is back, ladies and gentlemen. He is well and truly back with that draw. Liverpool were dominant throughout the game, but you know, they went down early to that Mane goal. It was an incredible finish. But they had the resources. They remained disciplined, and they seems like they just had absolute faith in the game plan that Big Sam set out. And you know, Liverpool dominating for long stretches, but you know, West Brom, they had the really good chances out of the game. You know, Grant should have finished that 1-on-1, and Ajayi, what an absolute leap that was. He headed that ball into the top right corner and got that beautiful curl into the net, and that was amazing. And you know, you got to give a shout out to Johnstone, who saved from Firmino's late effort. And yeah, that's a point for Big Sam. He'll be well pleased with that. You know, Big Sam probably was, you know, annoyed at all the credit that Mourinho has been getting from parking the bus and winning games, so he decided to come back and really start showing how it's done.
I have to say, I realised how much I missed Allardyce when he came out. He said afterwards that that he could do what Klopp is doing with all the money that they spend, but Klopp couldn't do what he done with the West Brom players.
I love it. I love it until he destroys Arsenal, which will inevitably happen.
But no, I miss him. From one manager with more than enough character to another with more than enough character in Bielsa. And Leeds, I think it's becoming a bit of a theme with Leeds. You know, I think offensively, I think they played really, really well. They created chances. They should have probably scored more, but I think they played really well in an attacking sense. But I don't think they were good enough defensively, and I think they were quite fortunate in the end to come away with a clean sheet. I think Burnley had quite a few chances to score where they should have, and they didn't. And there was also a few decisions which went against Burnley, which I think in the end was quite unfair. Certainly the Ben Mee situation where the Leeds goalkeeper absolutely took him out, but somehow he got the foul. But I think Leeds will take this. You know, the thing is, they've got unlucky in some games, so in games like this, you've just got to take that. But Leeds really do need to work on that defence, because it might come back to haunt them if they don't.
Now, score predictions. Who have you got for this one?
Oh, this is a tough one, because you've got West Brom under new management with Sam Allardyce, who won't want to concede many against a team who couldn't get less if they concede, and just go all out for scoring the goals. So I'm going to go with a team who I think will have more intent, and I'm going for 2-1 Leeds.
I'm going 1-0 West Brom. I feel like West Brom are going to do a number over Leeds. Next up is Man United Wolves, and for Man United, I feel like they'll be quite disappointed with that one. It's always tough going to Leicester. You know, Leicester are a very good team. Man United know that. But Rashford, with the chances that he had 3 gilt-edged chances, and he only converted 1 out of them. And I think he'll be really disappointed that he didn't score more from that game. And I also thought like the defending from Man United was really, really, really lazy. And yeah, Bruno Fernandes, who tried not making the midfield, and he lost it in midfield, and that put his defense under pressure. And Harvey Barnes just, you know, scored an amazing goal with his left foot. And even the second goal, the Vardy goal, where Vardy was the only one with a bit of movement in that box. You had 4 Man United defenders in and around him who were just shuffling back towards goal. So that was quite disappointing. And I feel like Solskjaer will know that his 2 points dropped in that game because they had the majority of the chances and they're playing well. They're playing better than Leicester, I felt. So yeah, it's quite disappointing for Man United.
For Wolves, well, this is a bit new for you guys and it's a bit new for me as well. But right now, the game is 64 minutes in. Wolves are currently 1-0 down to Tottenham. Now, it couldn't have been a worse start for Wolves. Ndombele scored on what was either the first or second minute, but he scored with that volley. But really, Patricio should have done much better with that. But I think he was unsighted and he didn't actually see where the ball was going to go. I think since that moment on, Wolves, they've come into the game, but Tottenham are always going to be difficult to break down if they get an early goal. And Wolves have done well to create half chances. They just haven't created any yet. Traore has been a bit of a menace on that side, but Tottenham, I mean, for lack of a better word, they're doubling up on him to make sure he doesn't cause problems. But at the moment, it's not looking too good for Wolves, and I think they need to make the breakthrough soon, or it might end up being a 1-0 loss to them.
Now, score predictions. How can you look into the future whilst the game is live?
No, I cannot. But I do think that Manchester United will pose a different problem to Wolves, and it will be a tough problem for Wolves to overcome. So I'm going to go for 2-0 Manchester United.
Okay, I'm going 1-1 here.
So we move over into Wednesday, and Tottenham take on Fulham at 6 p.m. at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Now, as I just said with the Wolves game, as you can probably imagine, the Tottenham game's going on as well. It is currently live. So it is currently 66 minutes in, and so far it's been a kind of a Mourinho-esque game, the kind of game you would expect from Tottenham. They started really quickly. Ndombele scored in the first or second minute. It was a good volley by him, but I do think Patricio should have probably done better with the attempt. And since then, they've had a few chances on the break. They've had a few half chances, and they've limited to Wolves to only having a few half chances, but probably more than what they would be comfortable with. I think Tottenham at this point in time, especially with 20 minutes left on the clock, they're probably going to be looking to close the game out. And they'll be hoping that they don't give many more chances to Wolves, because Wolves do look a little bit dangerous.
Fulham. Now, Fulham, I felt like they really should have won that game against Southampton. I thought they played better and they created the better chances to win, really. You had Anguissa, who was set up by Lookman, who, well, let's just say he swung the golf club and he completely missed it with his left foot. It was not a good finish at all. You were really expecting the net to bulge from that position. And you had Cavallero as well, who missed a gilt-edged chance, from close with the header. It was just poor finishing all round. And that's 4 draws from the last 4 games for Fulham. And you feel like if there was a better finishing, half those games would have been wins, really, in my opinion. And Fulham, it is better form compared to the early form that they had in the season, but at the end of the day, you really do need wins if you're going to try and stay up in the league. And they're playing better, but they need to get these wins.
Yeah, 100%. No point in putting in the performances if you're not getting the results.
Score prediction.
What's your prediction? Go on, you go first.
I can't look past a Tottenham win, so I'm going 2-1 Tottenham.
Oh, snap. I'm going for the same, 2-1 Tottenham.
Oh, there you go. Next up is Newcastle versus Liverpool, and for Newcastle, I'm going to keep this short and sweet, really, because against Man City, it's a tough game to play against. The quality that they had 76% possession, and you can still win a game with only 24% possession, but the chances of you creating so many chances with that amount of possession is so little. And Man City were quite on song that game. They were really putting the Newcastle defenders onto a lot of strain. They even broke in on Newcastle quite freely. It was weird to see Kevin De Bruyne miss a one-on-one there, but yeah, at the end of the day, Newcastle, you're not going to be judged on these sort of games, really. So you just brush it under the rug, get on to the next game. I know the next game's against Liverpool, but let's hoping for a better display against Liverpool because they just drew against West Brom. And it shows that they're not so sharp at the moment. And Steve Bruce has done like a very good job at Newcastle, and it feels like as soon as he loses 2 or 3 games, he's suddenly under so much pressure, which is I feel a bit unfair.
I'm glad you got that off your chest, Gary. But I do agree with you that coming up against an on-form City is an absolute nightmare for any opponent. For Liverpool, I mean, there's a bit of a kick in the teeth in that one, but I do think they have themselves to blame a little bit. They got that really good early goal. It was a great pass and a great touch off his chest and a finish by Mane. It was, a really high-quality goal. And they were dominating West Brom. They were playing really well. Robertson just on the overlap, he was a constant threat. And they should have doubled their lead. They really should have gone more than one up. It was always going to be a dangerous game against a Sam Allardyce side when you're only one goal up. And to be fair to West Brom, they defended in numbers and resolutely. They really made it hard for Liverpool, but. It was on the, I think it was in the 60th minute mark. Matip picked up that injury. Klopp had to make a sub, and from that moment onwards, you could feel West Brom getting into the game, which was always going to be difficult when Liverpool have 2 makeshift centre backs playing. And in the end, it was a brilliant cross and a brilliant finish by West Brom. It was very difficult to defend against. And Liverpool still had their chances in the latter bit, as you mentioned earlier. That Firmino chance, it was a brilliant header. He did everything right. It was just a brilliant save by Johnson. So I think Liverpool, they'll probably just chalk that up as just one of those games and hopefully move on and get the points against Newcastle.
Score prediction. Who have you got winning this one?
I'm going to have to go with Liverpool. I'm going 2-0 Liverpool.
I'm going a closer game. I'm going 2-1 Liverpool. Anyway, that is all for score predictions this week. Thank you as always. We know there's some technical difficulties on our end, but these games are coming thick and fast.
We're trying our goddamn best. We hope you all had a wonderful Christmas, and we will see you in the new year.